In this video, we're going to be talking about something very painful I had to do earlier this year, which was rewrite an entire fantasy story that I had been drafting. I was 35,000 words in and had to trash it. Let's get into that. So, to start, why did I kill my loved one, right? Like, what was that about? Well, I like to write by adventuring through my stories. I'm like a solo D&D player. That's just what I like to do. I like to explore these worlds and have fun and adventure in them. That's awesome. But sometimes the D&D campaign is like really sharp if you kind of know where you want to go. You know, if you're like, I want to get the crown. I want to get to Neptune's crown. We're going to get the crown. Cool. Then you're going to go and you're going to do that. Amazing. Other times in your D&D, you're like, but what's up with the dude in the blue hat in the corner? I think we should explore that. And then you explore it and you're like, that was nothing, wasn't it? Okay, but what about the dude with the red hat in the other corner? And it's just not flowing. And if you catch that early on, you can kind of backtrack. If you don't, shoot. You know what I mean? There are legitimate ways to deal with it. Ultimately, like, I don't think the story was awful, but it was not as good as I wanted it to be, and I saw a new direction for it that was worth it to me. There is a common phrase in the profession of those who speak for a living. It's kind of vague, but it means something. I'll leave it to you guys to suss out what that is. But for people who speak for a living, there's a common saying that they say when they write the things that they want to say. And that is, as they read through their manuscript, they say, slay your darlings, right? Like, you have 20 amazing things that you want to communicate, but in the context of giving like a speech, for example, if you're communicating over the course of 30 minutes, people are already sitting for 30 minutes. That's crazy. That's a long time. I realize we do a lot of things for longer than 30 minutes, but just sit and listen to some guy. Be sensitive to that. And so, they talk about, like, it's easier to catch a baseball than it is to catch a pile of sand. If you've got 20 great points, that's amazing, except that's like shotgun spray. Hopefully you're not like... Anyways. It's really hard to catch 20 different points. It's really hard to catch a bunch of pieces of sand. It's really easy to catch a baseball. So catch a baseball, right? Donate today. Not really. I have nothing to donate to. It just felt like the right time to say that. That being said, I realized my story's got some kind of like... It's good, but it doesn't have like the mega twist. It doesn't fully deliver on that promise that we're getting at the beginning, at least not the direction we're presently going. So let's cut. And I cut a lot. And it was worth it because it made the story so much better. I'm so grateful that I've done that. At times, you're gonna face things in your story, and you're gonna say, "I gotta slay some darlings here." Totally okay. What you can do is reread each chapter. Great. And if you're an adventurer like me, ask yourself. It's still good to have a goal, right? We write because it's therapeutic. We write because it's good for our souls. Totally okay. But you still have an idea of what you're wanting to do, right? Most of the time. If not, then my advice to you is to write episodically, like create anthologies. If you have an idea of what you want to write today, but not what you want to write tomorrow, write what you want to write today and put a cap on that boy, right? Like, if you're doing graphic novels, treat them like one-shots, where it's like, this is a closed piece right here, and sell your one-shots. Here's a one-shot, here's a one-shot, here's a one-shot, here's a one-shot, here's an anthology once they're all complete. A bunch of different stories that aren't necessarily connected, that may not circle back to each other, but bam, anthology. You've got it. Amazing. If you don't, then you're going to be like, okay, chapter 1's about the chicken that could lay dragon eggs. Chapter 2 is about the robot that fell in love. And chapter 3 is about the professor that wished he was a NASCAR driver. How do these all connect? See, the adventurer in me is just like, well, one day the professor gets in his NASCAR, right? And he drives out to this chicken farm. And you can make them connect. Sure, you can do that. But I'm just saying, it helps to have some idea of where you want to go as you're going. So for me, I know I want to write fantasy stories. I want them to be about, the stories of good and bad and evil. And I want them to be fun adventures where the reader gets to feel like they're going on an adventure as well. The reader gets to feel as if they have been seen and heard and impacted by the story. I want it to land as a place that people want to spend time in, circle back to, enjoy more of, go deeper with. And so what that means for me is like I want to ask myself like, what are my core themes? And some of your themes will flush out right as you go, and you'll have a chance to kind of circle back and be like, let's drive that theme a little deeper. Yeah, we can do that. But having a general idea of where you want to go is going to save you a lot of time. Now let's talk about a different style of writing that you could embrace to avoid this entirely. It takes more work up front, but if it speaks to you, it might just be the way to go. If it doesn't speak to you, there is a science to writing, but there's definitely an art to it as well. And I think it's worth honoring your artistic bend in this setting. This is my 2 pieces of pie. This is my 2 cents. That's just what it is. But the other kind is called being an architect writer. And an architect writer is someone who maps out every little detail of what they want to do before they start. I'm being kind of facetious because then they would already have like a 100,000 page book in front of them before they've started, and then they finished, and so it's done. But they really do sit down and they say, okay, here is basic plot arc 1, here's basic plot arc 2, here's basic plot arc 3, here's how they interline, here's the connecting theme of them all. So we have primary arc, sub arc, sub arc. We have main character 1, he likes cheese, he dislikes olives, and that's important for me to know, even if no one else ever will. Here is antagonist 1. He loves olives, hates cheese, especially fondues. And there's going to be a fondue scene in chapter 87. We know this because we mapped it out. We are ready for it. Love it. I would think of Brandon Sanderson is kind of the guy I kind of go to for that all the time. He is definitely an architect. The guy, listen to his writing lectures. Those are some cool lectures he gives at BYU. They're a good time. And he'll talk about those kinds of things. For me, I like to sit down and kind of explore. Like I want to have fun in my campaign, and it feels less fun to me if the fate is already decided. That, you still got to work on the style of it. You still want it to be beautiful and fun. For the Graphknight, who is the main character of my graphic novel that I'm working on, the Graphknight, he is exploring the ruins of Lentalk at the time of recording this. He's gotten himself through a series of traps. He's fought a mimic. It's been a several-day journey. He's been tailed behind by 2 little adventuring cats, which is fun. And then he comes to the area called the Third Ring of the Ruins of Lentalk. He's attacked by these monsters called Skirops, and they're creatures I invented for this scene, but they're these giant man-bat-esque creatures without eyelids, without lips, and they like descend upon him, try and feed him to the hatchlings. And really, like, the way the story has worked for me, I have a general idea of where I want to go. Like, I know generally how I'm going to get out of this, but I sat down and I said, he's going to adventure through the ruins of Lentalk. Cool, that's point 1. Point 2, he is going to leave the ruins of Lentalk and go to X location, having found this and not found that. Cool. Now, as he's going in, so it's like, okay, so what does that look like? First, what's a cool way for him to show up? Our hero comes down and he is riding a griffin. He drops off of the griffin. It's a funny story, so like he kind of hurts himself when he lands. He says goodbye to the griffin. What's a funny response for the griffin? What's the response that I would enjoy in the story? The griffin kind of squawks at him like a chicken. Let's do it. And he's kind of grossed out by it. Then what happens, right? He enters into the ruins. Okay, cool. Is this just a boring walk? No, this can be like very like cinematically beautiful as he descends down. And we can constantly say he's getting there, but then, right? He's got to jump over these arrow traps, but then he's got to face off on a mimic, but then he sees these Skirop, but then he's thrown into the sky by them. They're carrying him away from hatchlings, but then he stabs one of them to like free himself from them, but then he's falling to his death, but then there are eagles, and you just kind of keep going. And the eagles, it kind of made sound like they came out of nowhere. And there's a sense in that, but there's another sense in which it's explained in the plot. You'll have to check out the issue to kind of understand that a little better. That's not really what this episode is about. But my point is, it's helpful to have an idea of where you're wanting to go, whether you're an architect or an adventurer, and we should really kind of pull from each other a little bit. If you're an architect, I would encourage you to feel like you can still finagle a little bit inside each chapter, knowing, okay, well, I got to hit that plot point, but I've got some room here. And I think that we're going to find, like, actually, like, we do a lot of the same things, even if the process looks a little different from time to time. I like to keep a journal with me, especially if as I'm doing hard magic systems, that labels the rules that I create as I create them. So when I'm adventuring and this happens and I'm having a hard magic system and it impacts the magic system, I say, okay, this is now a part of that magic system and it cannot contradict this going forward. It's still adventuring, but it's adventuring that has architecture to it. So whatever your style is, there's going to be times where you're going to have to face whether or not to cut a scene or to change a scene. And, you get to decide when your work is finished. If you're someone like me, if you're someone like, I would say like George Lucas, who constantly changed Star Wars afterwards, the work never really feels done, right? You're always like, but if I can make it 1% better, shouldn't I? If that's you, then maybe consult a friend. Get a good set of eyes on that bad boy, and maybe set a deadline for yourself, because your art deserves to be enjoyed by other people, and art doesn't have to be perfect for it to be really, really wonderful. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I will catch you in the next one.